still those same champions that I want to see, especially the lane bullies for Tyrion on the top lane, because Tyrion, if he's set ahead on the lane, he can do quite a lot. We have seen how potent of a player he is, and on top of that, there is going to be an additional problem for Los Ratones, because if BAUS is way too far behind on a champion that doesn't allow for that, so for example like Cyan, who is already gone, Cho got gone from the game 1 as well, this is going to be a problem for Los Ratones to find a good use for BAUS then. So it is understandable why they're sticking to those bans, but I like that little addition there, because we looked at Ivern, and we talked already today about how Verdant were able to pull off the Ivern full noodle in their series versus Bulldog, and Los Ratones decided they don't want that shielding power for Verdant.
No, so that will change things up. Pantheon still up and available. Rumble as well. Looks like that's going to be left up, both those champions, Los Ratones. So likely looking for a trade. I would anticipate that they're actually looking for the Pantheon. So if I was Verdant, I'd feel maybe a little more, you know, happy to remove that.
Yeah.
If they end up taking Poppy, so be it. The Galio is also up, so I think that's the preemptive pick, right, for BAUS. Secure BAUS champion. It obviously also works as a flex. So now this is like a kind of waving to Tyron saying, hey, like, Rumble's up, you can take it if you want, but you know it's likely just then going to be, you know, into that Galio straight away. I wonder how that's going to change things. If that's just going to mean, for Verdant, they hold on to R5 for Tyron, or if they're actually just going to kind of swap things around, look towards somewhere else. They take the Ambessa pickup, which I don't know how much I like. The Sejuani is obviously very good with Jungle Pool the way it is. I wonder if Nemesis kind of just ends up taking the Galio even blind here, with this situation. And then they take BAUS's Volibear. That could like be a very, very valuable thing here. Galio can't lane into AD champs. Like, it sucks. We even saw Chovy do this. I think it was actually just against HLE very recently. Even the last series of the series before took Renekton into Galio in the mid lane, and it was horrible, as Velia is eyeing up that Trundle pick. Old school counter into that Sejuani.
There is the world in which Verdant right now go with this Ambessa Sejuani, and they don't pick AP for Senkax on the mid lane, but they go with something AD Yone style. First of all, to make sure there is more synergies for Sejuani to work around, and second of all, to make sure that this Galio now has a really weird situation as to where do I go, because in top lane there is not a good matchup, in mid lane pretty much as well, and then Verdant can decide to put something like AP Shiganari on the bot lane.
I think Silas
or
is
maybe
just the way
Silas.
to go, despite all that.
I like Silas here.
You take the Galio ult, the Trundle ult is always going to be kind of useful, plus you get the AP scalings, don't forget, out of that ult, which kind of makes it a bit of a nuke. You'd be surprised how much damage you end up squeezing out of that. So now for bans, I would just anticipate that it's, you know, reckless support bans, right? Something like the Renata, they're actually still going to cover for topside with at least one BAUS ban here. I am very curious about what Reckless is going to want to pair with this Kai'Sa though, because a lot of his like predominant kind of go-in champs are out. The Leona is kind of the only one I would imagine he should be able to pilot that we haven't seen so far this year out of him. But you lock in the Leona, you give that Ultima over to Senkax, and that's just another powerful engage tool you don't want to deal with. Verdant call out the Leona and take it away themselves. So curious now about what this support matchup is actually going to end up looking like.
Yeah, there's not much. Yeah, there is Braum or there is Renata left for Ruckus. There's also Janna, but that does not look like a game for Janna at the moment. I mean, there is some decent amount of engage from Verdant's side, so you could work around the disengage support on the bot lane. It's just, it's not something that Crowny will be happy with.
Aphelios, wow. So Lulu Aphelios, I guess, maybe is the likely call here for Verdant. That's going to be really interesting to see. The range right now of Los Ratones is very, very short, so I don't hate it. Like, I don't hate it at all. Though the engage tool, additional engage tool of, hey, like Nico coming in would be huge here for Verdant. Sorry, for Los Ratones. Yeah. Just because, again, getting onto the backline, massive. It does give it over to Silas, but at the end of the day, I think you can still be happy if you end up finding those high-value targets in the backline. Yeah,
there is already so much given to Silas that it feels like adding additional big ultimate on top of that doesn't really change things too much. It's harder for the time being, but okay, so we're talking about probably Galio Nemesis on the mid lane. Oh, come on. No. Okay.
It makes sense. It makes sense.
Like, it makes sense. It's just...
It had to be the Thresh, yeah. It had
B5.
Yeah, you need to protect that. You don't have the Gale Force yet. You no longer have the Gale Force. You need to protect him. You need to give him a lantern.
No, Georgia was saying to me in my ear as well. Aphelios is fun and all, but we haven't seen him as much because he doesn't have Gale Force anymore, and that makes him a lot trickier to play.
Man, this champion feels so miserable because they just took away that one mobility thing that he had, right?
I know.
One thing that could give him those big wombo combos like the huge Moonlight Visions with the Gale Force forward. Talking about forward, Noodle might be too far forward.
They are going to have to back away very fast there. Sankux beginning to run away as well. Everyone's still on a flank angle. Look at me. I think he just spotted it a little bit. They'll step in and throw down some wards. BAUS stepping on forwards again regardless. They'll throw out an abduct, and that's the end of it. Nice invade for the ward, though, nonetheless.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about those compositions, because even though Sejuani is very happy to have a lot of melee champions around her, I feel like composition-wise, Los Ratones are chilling. I love the fact that the Nico got paired up with Kai'Sa because it really does disguise the few things that Kai'Sa really struggles with in lane, which is her short range into any AD carry that has a longer range or poke at her, which is pretty much any AD carry in the meta right now. But Nico does disguise that because it helps her push down that bot lane, and you never really have priority lanes with Kai'Sa, especially with melee supports, right? And then secondly, like, Los Ratones comp just makes so much sense. One person will choose to dive, everyone can pile up on top of that target. If Shiganari could not play the game previously, you had to be careful. How can you be careful if a Vi R? He just instantly stun locked you.
Very tricky indeed. And again, yes, you've got the lantern. Yes, you've got kind of fake frontline in the sense that Silas can step on forwards with the Sejuani, with the Ambassador, and buy space by kind of full contact League of Legends, right? You just dive the divers on your own front and try and give space by just engaging really, really hard. But it's going to be a tricky old game for Shiganari. However confident and comfortable he is on the Aphelios, is a long-term comfort champion for him from way back when it first released. Had a lot of success on it then, but a lot of AD carry players did, and no one's really playing it however successful they've been on him. So it's a bold call, to say the least.
Yeah, and I want to say right here, because both of these junglers are pathing towards the bottom of the map. However, that is a triple lane priority for Velia right here. You see them walking actually super aggressively towards the Gromp of Noodle inside his jungle. He actually had Reckless with him for a second right there. They're going to drop down the wave pretty deep, and they're just going to stay towards the bottom of the map, which means that Noodle is going to have to 180, go towards the top side, which is the safest for him right now, as Velia is going to... Oh no. He's just going to camp that bush, trying to stop Shiganari from walking that tower.
Does it finally have that level 2, switches weapons, gets a little bit of safety back, actually does get that dark passage back to safety, can look potentially for the binding eclipse, gets the flay back, now Velia's in danger, they can turn it around, Moonshot! Not required, just an auto is enough and they turn it all around.
Again, reminder of game number 2. That's exactly what happened. Los Ratones overstay their welcome. They fail a dive, and Verdant bite back. That's one kill onto that Aphelios. And mind you, it's not like a misfortune. Like, Aphelios does still scale pretty massively into the late game. It's just a case of, can he stand still now that he doesn't have the Gale Force to output that damage for himself, right? But so far, so good. It was a trade of flashes right there. Velia's flash versus Shiganari's flash. And so far, he came out in favor of...
Work from them. They find themselves in a pretty good position here early in a way they might not have been if things had gone a little awry. Noodle turns up at the right moment and they managed to get an early kill on the first, which was going to be a necessity to play this game out. Why the top side BAUS back on his Vi, gets a big chunk onto Theron. Will be very obnoxious. We know he builds crit on this champion. We know exactly how he likes to play it, and it is pretty silly to witness when you're used to just Sundered Sky and Bruiser builds.
Oh, they're looking for Nemesis here.
Remember, it is Sejuani and Silas, so that passive pairing in terms of getting the melee synergy on the permafrost can get really difficult to manage. Nemesis has got a flash. Velia's coming on, flashes away from the abduct. Vela comes down, pushes Sankux away from Noodle. Flash for the chomp, Sankux in danger. Flash on forward from BAUS with the Vault Breaker. When does Sankux have his own abscond abduct? Gets out to safety. A lot of summoners blown, but no one dies.
Yeah, that was 4 flashes in this particular skirmish that was the top side of the map. I was actually wondering right there, because if Noodle ignored that mid lane gank, that would have been 3 out of 3 games that he would have double scuttled Velia in this series. But it's not quite going to be the case. He does take that flash though off of the Trundle and the Galio. So let's see if it's going to be a return gank from actually either of the two, right? Trundle is a little bit more of a simplified champion, not so much of a 2025 champion, if you will. He does need setup from his lanes, but if you're looking at the level 6, there definitely is a bunch of it. With Nico down the bot lane, ultimate from the Vi over the top side of the map. Talking about it.
Doing their best to make this one a bit messy as Terran gets hit with that Vault Breaker, gets to back away, is alright for now. BAUS not overplaying there, but is still up a decent amount here in the early lane. Has managed to get a good shove, get that roam down towards the scuffle between the mid jungles and help turn that around. Left with another early game where Verdant have at least managed to punch first, even if the gold is pretty much even. Velia at the level 4 mark. Again, looking at an early dragon. He's been known to do that once or twice. Instead, now turns towards bot side. Obstinata's low, misses the death sentence, and that can make this very interesting indeed. The pillar comes on down, and the pillar of filth, of course, on traditional Trundle. There's a flash there from the Thresh.
Yeah, and you can see the difference right here, right? With a Nico together with Kai'Sa. Crowny and Reckless have had a perma push down that bot lane, which means that whenever Velia steps into this river over on the bot side of the map, he feels pretty confident that he does have the backup of his lanes right there. Not quite the case. Again, I feel like both of the junglers have been dipping in and out of trying to gank and get things going onto the map. And of course, since they're both a more quote-unquote facilitating champions, this is what you're looking for, their impression in that early game. And so far so good. There's a bunch of summoners blown, and with the Void Grub spawning in about 50 seconds time, I'm expecting a lot of those to get exploited very soon.
Well, there's going to be something we have our eyes on at the very least. Very soon is the operative words. We've said that once or twice, and then it's kind of gone off the rails, hasn't it? We had that game 1 in particular was an absolute bloodbath. A little more stable in game 2. Obstinata's being run out here by Velia. He was a lot faster on that frozen domain. In comes the W as well. Flash on 4 from Reckless, gets that Tangle Barb through. The death sentence is decent enough. Can look to bring in a Galio, though. Keeps him alive. Knock up there, of course, as it's the villain's entrance, not the hero's entrance. It was a stolen one.
Sengax right there trying to protect Obstinatus, but with Dragon up and available, Verdant is going to focus on that as Verdant are focusing on BAUS.
In comes the Permafrost and the Glacial Prison, and Tayron will say, you do not go and you do not pick up 350 gold.
That's a kill over to Tayron Zambesa, which I'm going to be very honest with you. I feel like Tayron has really been struggling in this matchup versus BAUS, so get him just a little bit ahead onto the Zambesa. He's a little bit freeing for him, I guess, over in the laning phase. Let's see how he chooses to translate that as Nemesis just walks up, Qs, steals one Void Grub, no +1 tick on the I forgot what it's called, but the fit strength of the neutral objectives. You'll probably know this.
You do actually get it for you. It's called it's the objective marker, but yeah. No,
you got 2 actually. True.
So you do get 2. Now actually, also they get a kill on the other side as Velia tried to cross map and gets punished by the death sentence into the Severum Crescendum combo. Velios now at 2-0.
I don't know if we'll have a replay off of this, but I'm not sure what really happened there. Was Velia trying to take the Crump and he got caught? And if that's the case, where was Crowny and Reckless? We'll have to watch this one more time if we do have that replay. However, that is a second kill onto Shiganari now, and it's giving a little bit deja vu of last game. Oh, okay. They catch him over the wall. This was already warded. And just take him down while Reckless and Crowny were trying to push in for that wave. Very, very clever warding right there from the side of Verdant to spot Velia as they were making a play on the top side of the map.
Well then, this gets interesting, doesn't it? They need to look for the Pot Blossom's the wrong term. Blooming Burst, that's the name of Nico Q. Took me a second or two. And they find themselves with a slight discrepancy here in the kills, a slight discrepancy here in some of the objectives they would have liked to have picked up, and Lost Return still even enough in the gold. But it's an early game that has actually managed to not see this Aphelios put in the dirt, which we're both worried about happening. Team fight's still going to be hard, but hey, if the Aphelios was ever going to work, this is the way it was going to be. The moment we say that, Cease and Desist comes on down. In comes the Galio, though, alongside, of course, that death sentence, and of course the Dark Passage, as I get my abilities the wrong way around. Either way, Shiganari gets out alive.
Yeah, I feel like Obstinatus is gonna have to be very, very on point with when that lantern drops, because there is a lot of CC on the side of Los Ratones, so if they do chain it up, it's gonna be really difficult for Shiganari to even click that lantern. So Obstinatus has a really, really tough role of keeping his AD carry alive from every single threat that can literally dive up on top of these Aphelios. But so far, so good. Shiganari very, very close to that first item. He's got his first 2 kills. The Plento was at the top side of the map. They managed to rotate over the Los Ratones bot lane as well. And they have Noodle around, scouting a little bit on the top side of that jungle. So far, so good for Verdant. Nothing extraordinary, but at the end of the day, they're playing for a scaling composition. They're playing for late game team fights, and they found Valia.
Another death sentence, and that'll be the Permafrost stacking as well. These picks have been brutal. In comes Nemesis, but look, Sen comes in with a Dark Passage assisted Pop Blossom. In comes the Moonlight Vigil, and a second one's picked up. Doesn't even need to use the Binding Eclipse. They get a double on to Shiganari. This Aphelios is well and truly online.
Absolutely. 4-0, even a bounty on top of his head. This sort of let's play around the 80 carry composition seems to be working so well for Verdant, even though a little bit unorthodox in terms of it's an Aphelios. And we don't necessarily see that champion very often as a Obstinatus tries his luck. Oh!
Pop Blossom comes on down, flash out from Chronic, but still a Binding Eclipse. Looks to cleanse and flash out. Uses the ult too. Gets to stay safe. TP's beginning to fly. Nemesis looking for the shield of Duran. Torn onto the front line, and Senko's TP'd at a half HP and just gets melted.
Hold on a minute. We talked about a 4-0 on Aphelios, but he hasn't cashed in yet. He doesn't have any more items in his inventory, which means he's dead even with the rest of Los Ratones are looking for even more. But this should just most certainly be the case. There's not a lot of mana in Obstinatus champion or Shiganari's champ right there. A little bit overforced, but they get out. Yeah.
Another back interrupted though, and they're getting increasingly annoying. And yes, Verdant, some good moments here. Los Ratones, no slouch and no stranger to having to come back from slightly fumbled early game plays. Crowny's going to get a wave crash, get 2 plays. Well, look at this replay, because it was a whole thing, Georgia.
Yeah, we see Obstinatus going in, and then you've got Senkox following through, but then Crowny gets to ult the other way, and it's like, if you don't chain your CC properly all around, it's just very difficult, and Senkox just TPs in the middle of nowhere, pretty much. Well, actually, not in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of Los Ratones, as the play had already concluded.
That was very much the enemy base.
Yeah. He wishes he had TP'd in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I was hoping a little more distance. Danger close is one thing, but that's ridiculous. Either way, kill back. All the while, Shiganari has now reset at least and managed to pick himself up that first time, gone towards the Collector. Often a nice pickup for the Aphelios, who likes his lethality and that ability to get some burst combos. That's that sentence. Inches off hitting Noodle, though, on a flank angle. Going to try and find a way to turn it around as they go in with that cease and desist, and Obstinatus just dies. The flank is turned into a bit of an awkward sit there and watch their player die. Reckless looking for a blooming burst onto Noodle, who has to sort of back away. Dragon has spawned, and without the support, the man advantage gives LR the opportunity to start it up. Yeah,
Thresh is a pseudo-tanky champion. You can't really be face-checking. If you get caught, you're going to go down really quickly. They showcased that right there and then from the side of Los Ratones, and the fact that they had a numbers advantage on the map means that this is a pretty free second dragon for the side of LR. And even though the Trundle is 0 and 3, I will say, I don't think this is necessarily very problematic. That Trundle is primarily there to stop the retreat from that Aphelios and to shred defenses off of that Sejuani. Once he does these two, his job is pretty much concluded as Obstinatus. Can't quite stop the recall right there.
It was a clone all along.
Oh, it was a clone. It was a clone. Okay, you know what? Nico really confuses me, man.
Nah.
It's like, oh, there's 2 Kaisers on the map. Oh, there's 2 Trundles. Oh, look, he didn't cancel the back. There was no back. It was Nico. Oh, okay, cool.
I'm sensing a slight amount of rage. How many times have you been caught out by a Nico roam mid? Just out of interest.
No, actually none. I think it's all casting related. It's like
genuinely true though. It's very tilted. You look down the map. Which one's Kaiser? Which one's Nico?
Yeah, it's like you see the AD carry walking mid, and you're like, wait, they actually put Victor bot, and it's like, no, you're an idiot. They didn't put Victor bot. It's a Nico. Open your eyes.
Well, yeah,
I'm an idiot.
I tried. Yeah, I mean that too. Like we're both not. You know, we could be smarter about these things. Either way, Tyrion eats a little bit of the denting blows and the relentless force from the Vi, who goes back in, doesn't quite hit that Q, and the turnaround comes through with the cunning swipe and the sundering slam. Bundle on a wraparound, though. Might look for the dive. Taylor going to try and start Dracam stepping away. Out comes the pillar. Subjugate down as well. Public execution onto nothing and no one. Doesn't quite go down, but is forced to reset here a little awkwardly. The turret is going to be picked up surely by BAUS as a result.
Yeah, Los Ratones are trying to play away from Shigenari's Aphelios right now, which is very wise. Try to isolate side lanes, take down Tayron on the Ambessa. Didn't end up getting his flash either. However, they're going to trade the neutral objective with the structure over on the bottom of the map as BAUS takes that bot lane, tier 1 tower for Los Ratones. And pretty much dead even in terms of the exchange right there. Let's see how Verdant is actually going to choose to utilize that Rift Herald to try and gain some control on the map. Again, it's going to be so important to have wards ahead of time for the of Verdant when they go into neutral objectives. It has been a little bit of a hit or a miss for them getting onto these neutral objectives. And with a 4-0 Aphelios, you definitely don't want to be stepping into fog of war.
No, you don't. You can't be the face checker. You have to be allowed to hit your buttons appropriately. If you can get a good Moonlight Vigil, you can get a big combo with your abilities and get some of those free weapon switches. You can find some moments, but this will keep happening on the side lane. In goes BAUS. Crowny follows with a killer instinct, and that instinct was correct. Tayron finds himself in a 30-second grave.
Yeah, Verdant are going to use the Rift Herald right now. Use the numbers advantage that they have on the map, at least for the time being, to take that mid lane tier 1 tower.
Nice little flash to interrupt the Justice Punch. Flashing on forward from Noodle. Going to get the permafrost down. Pop Blossom in response, though. Velia turning up. Trying to turn it around with the hero's entrance, but there's a dark passage out to safety. BAUS now hunting. Has got flash to work with. Can look for something more. Cooldown's not that long. Speedy at this point with the tier 2 boots. Looking for another Q. Mega Blast Cone. Just out to safety. Flash not quite enough to get in range, but Noodle now split off from his team. Turret was secured all the while. There's another dark passage. Can Noodle get to it, or is it going to get body blocked? Not quite enough. Turnaround. They've stolen Velia's ult. The Subjugate could be valuable here, and that Verdant actually do a good job of extracting the skulls. Well, we'll know Shigenari has died. BAUS in danger, needs to try and back away here a little bit. Looking to go on forward, straight down step into the public execution. He's overstepped, he will die now. Surely no way out for the Vi, and Los Ratones lose their top laner, even if he buys a second or two more.
Yeah, that was one of the longest plays in history as Los Ratones take advantage of all the chaos going on the tops of the map and majority of Verdant, not majority, well, the whole of Verdant, being stuck on the tops of the map, trying to take BAUS down and do what Los Ratones do best. Use BAUS's deaths to their own advantage. Second tower in the mid lane is going to go down for Los Ratones. And overall, a pretty net positive play for the side of LR right here. They lose their top laner. They do take a bit more control over in the mid lane. And again, I feel like playing towards those side lanes, punishing Tayron, taking him down, making it a numbers advantage on the map has pretty much benefited them a lot. But right now that they have Shigenari's flash, they can actually really leverage the fact that he's playing a pretty mobile carry. Now, Reckless will find the backline, but the problem right here is that there is no one else to follow up on that. By the time Nemesis is there, Shigenari gets bailed out by Obsinatus and the Lantern, right? And the chase begins. I wish we could play like this funny music. Like, that'll probably be a copyright right there. Velia will find Shigenari in the end and kill him, but it was just a constant back and forth. TP's coming in, Shigenari's gonna die in the end from the ultimate, and then BAUS is too far forward, ends up falling as well. So overall, a 1-for-1, but Los Ratones redeemed that by taking that mid lane tier 2 tower.
All the while, though, Verdant have to reset, now come back out onto the Rift. We'll get to pick up this dragon. Well, he start to. TPs begin to fly. We are getting a bit of a fracas on the board. BAUS on a flank angle. Didn't come on in. Nemesis as well. Going to be spotted out as they try to turn on the Galio. Turning to pick him up. All the while on the other side. Tayron and Obstinatus find space with the box. In comes the Galio hero's entrance. Dragon secured. But they're going to turn it around now onto Velia. All the while, though, Crowny out to the backside for Killer Instinct. He gets the double. The Moonlight Vigil. Shigenari takes a few back with him. They can't quite finish up. But wait, what about the turnaround? The cease and desist stops Tayron from claiming the lives he so desperately wanted to claim. It's Crowdy with the triple. He remains untouched.
He played that flawlessly, dived into the backline, found the key targets, and again, you see how miserable it is to play Aphelios now that Gale Force is no longer a thing. He has a fantastic multi-man splash hold, and it just doesn't matter. And I like what Verdant's not doing here. You take the Galio out of the equation, it means that he's not going to be useful enough in terms of like diving into the backline and causing stress for your team. But Noodle dies to Crowny, then they separate them. Fantastic multi-man ult right there from Shigenari, but it's not enough. He flashes in to finish them off, but he unfortunately does not have enough damage to do that. He gets interrupted. A triple kill for Crowny right there, who dived into the backline to assassinate the rest of the team.
Another auto, and the Collector starts flying there. He had so many chakrams swirling around him. Can't quite do it. And despite the flashy plays on Shiganari, it's Crownie who now sits 1,500 gold ahead. He's got 2 items on this Kai'Sa and has navigated these team fights really, really well. He's going to be a continual threat. Lost Ratones now find themselves at Soul Point. They've got the Feats of Strength. They've got themselves a significant gold lead here now as well. Now at the 20-minute mark, they can look towards things like Atacama and wait a few minutes for Dragon into Baron. It's looking pretty difficult here for Verdant for all. There's been a moment or two on screen at least where it's felt like they had some options.
Yeah, and Atakan is being started right here, as you rightfully mentioned. 4 members of Verdant, but no one's really getting anywhere near. They do not have vision. They would be face checking, and that could be GG right here if you face check one too many times. Now, of course, I wanted to point out that even though they did their best from the side of Verdant to get those skills onto Aphelios, Crownie has found his way back in. All those tower platings, the side lane towers, constant gank on the side lanes, 403 on the Kai'Sa, 1.4k up, 2 items, over 1.5 for Aphelios, and unless that Infinity Edge comes through, we need a 3rd item on Aphelios as well. Usually when we're talking about like on-hit 80 carries, 3 items is that very, very sweet spot that you want to have them at. However, Shiganari is going to be at that 2-item spot right here, and I think Verdant are really, really hoping that they can slow down the game. Talking about slowing down the game, though, those Ratones are on Soul Point, so in 2.5 minutes, you're definitely not going to have 3 items on that Aphelios.
And you're going Pick CC into a Chemsoul, which will give you tenacity, those wonderful things. Gonna try and turn around to the BAUS, who just take a fair amount of damage into the Stolen Seasons assist. He gets so much back, though. Senkok's has to flash away. Noodle now in danger. He's turned into his namesake. He's dinner! Down goes Senkox as well, who is cut down in his... I'm not even sure it's prime at this point, really, is it? In this game, 1 and 3 on the Silas, having a rough old time. Crownie with the killer instinct, looking for the orders. Taylor tries to get on top with the Drake House and just can't do it. BAUS debating going forward. Of course he does. It's another good Moonlight Vigil. He'll get 1 back with Shiganari, but the fireworks mean nothing. It's a festival for Lost Ratones.
He gets 2 in the end, but it's an ace for Lost Ratones, and right here, they're gonna get to push that bot lane tower. I'm thinking that... I thought that we're gonna TP back right here, but let's watch one more time what happened. They do find BAUS, but Lost Ratones are like Avengers. They just literally assemble in milliseconds. Everyone runs in. Fantastic double knock-up from Reckless, and it's going to be... We're back from the replay. It's going to be the tower going down for Lost Ratones over on the both side of the map.
3rd item just done for Crownie, who has died, interestingly worth noting, of course, got picked up by Shiganari at the very end of that. 7 and 3, doing his best to still be relevant here. Unfortunately, the rest of the map, significant ways behind this Trundle, despite the 0 and 3 start. It's now 3, 3 and 6, 2k up. It's not getting easy to play this game right now. See whether they can play this one out. As Dragon spawns in 50 seconds, Shiganari trying to claim as much gold as he can. I wonder how close he is to that 3rd item completion. Can't be far off, one would imagine.
I'm thinking right here with the 2 shutdowns that Shiganari got, reminder that he was 1.6k down, and now he's about 700 gold, which means that he got a good part of 1,000 gold in his pocket from that previous fight. He must be really, really close, but not 20 seconds close. And Verdant, again, they have been struggling in finding their ways into those neutral objectives. There's no easy way to face check. Noodle's gonna have to do it for them as BAUS is looking for Shiganari.
He goes the distance. In comes the hero's entrance, and Galio brings the pain. They'll pick up absolutely everyone in the mid lane. It's Noodle and Senkox alone, trying to clear the wave desperately to hold on to the game. And Lost Ratones will be having none of that. A triple over to Velia.
And you just see how simple it is. No mobility, no flash, no barrier. Press R, stun him into place. Everyone dives in. Shiganari dead. He's the whole damage from the side of Verdant. He was the last choice of damage, and he is down. And Lost Ratones are taking everything in that base.
10 seconds to go, and Lost Ratones have decided they've had not quite enough. They'll take a Nexus turret and then go back towards the inhibitors. A little umming and ahhing there. They'll have the base critically broken, but they can turn for soul. They'll play it slow. No mistakes. No mess. Just ruthless efficiency for now. TP's coming in. Verdant want to play them on the reset. Have they spent too long here? Maybe I overspoke. Now Nemesis in danger. Throws out the shield of Duran. Senkox looking for an angle. Gets into the backside. But he's very alone. Needs to try backing away from the execution. But it's only onto the BAUS, who just does not give a damn right now. Permafrost not fully stacked. The Moonlight Vigil not quite enough to bring down Reckless. It was close, but not enough. In comes the Void Seeker. Crownie has 3 seconds on his ult. You can see what he's thinking. He's got mana. Can he consider an ult in? It would be bold. But it is Crowny. He's feeling strong. The W's keep landing. That's finally one that misses, and he won't press the trigger.
And you would expect that this would be the perfect timing for Verdant to fight. Los Ratones had not had their backs, they hadn't had their resets, they hadn't gotten the extra gold in their pockets translated into items yet. So I really commend Verdant for trying to get that aggression through. You grab 3-4 kills, you grab Baron, you could turn the game around. Not quite the case. It ends up being Soul for the set of Los Ratones. And let's watch this one more time. It's as simple as press R and everyone piles on top. Crowny will dive into the backline. You see Nemesis flying through. I mean, it's as simple as that, right? You don't have mobility, you don't have a flash, you're sitting duck, and what better than an ultimate that is a point and click follow stun like Vice to pin you down.
This is not a naked Vi, as you like to call it. She has a full mecha transformation sequence as Galio comes flying in from the heavens to support her. And that's not including the Kai'Sa, or, of course, the likes of this Nico as well, who's often been followed with the Pop Blossoms. It's been very easy to coordinate that combo together, and it's led Los Ratones to a very healthy lead. This game is all but over. Fat Lady may not have sung yet, but she has warmed up and she's done her rehearsal. She's just waiting for that last moment on stage.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we're never going to get the coulda, woulda, shouldas right here. 3 items on Shiganari. And let's see if that's going to matter, right? That's an 11,000 gold lead on the set of Los Ratones. They are burned up. They're pushing in the waves. BAUS, I think he's alone. He's not really alone. He's got 2 more friends on the bottom map. 3, actually. Make that 3 more friends. And Nemesis on the side, ready to ult at any time.
The play on to Velia, but how much that really matters. Shiganari, the best weapons here as a combo. Decent wave clear with the ranged autos on Calibrum. The Void Seeker just shied there. BAUS thinking about a Q forwards. Of course he is. And the thing is, any other player say, nah, they wouldn't go for that. But it's BAUS. And therefore he actually might. So I have to keep an eye on it.
Hey man, if you have a Kai'Sa and a Galio diving in with you, I mean, I guess that's a risk you're willing to take, especially with like 11,000 gold in the lead right here. They are looking again for Shiganari. He's playing very safe, still no flash.
The wallets have turned into the whole damn vault. Vi, quite known for breaking those. Just press Q once or twice. In comes the Glacial Prison. It's nice, but there's just no follow-up. It's only onto Reckless. Not the most valuable target. Shielding Durant onto the front line. Obstinatus flashes away on the thresh. In goes Reckless. Pop Blossom on 3. Crowny follows. They try and buy some time. The villain's entrance is followed by the hero's rebuttal. They'll keep throwing out the Acathian rain, and they know what they say about that. When it rains, it pours. Verdant will be absolutely annihilated. 3-0 for Los Ratones. And Denmark, check your harbors, check your ships. They're full of rats. Los Ratones are heading to finals.